to the Festival
of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, and Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello fairgoers, hello storytellers, and hello world. Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers Season 2, a 14-day fun-filled event that will show you exactly how everyone has a story to tell. We are streaming live via our Reader's Magnet Facebook page and Reader's Magnet YouTube channel. Please don't forget to visit www.thefestivalofstorytellers.com. My name is Frank, and I'll be your moderator for this hour. Our featured author of the hour holds a doctorate of education in educational leadership and policy analysis from East Tennessee State University. She taught kindergarten for 8 years, worked with Upward Bound 10 summers as both a recreational director and counselor. Let us all welcome Dr. Sandra Birchfield.
Frank,
Hi, Sandy.
Thank you so much. Hi, Frank. How are you today?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Perfect. So, for those who are watching us live, Dr. Sandra Birchfield, we call her Sandy, right? So, she's actually also one of our moderators for this season. Right, Dr. Sandy?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's a good experience.
Exactly. So, Sandy published several books. She published Who Are Those People Back There? And the other one is Goodness Gracious, Grumbling is Contagious. And two activity books, The Little Giant Teaches Big Lessons and The Little Giant Called Manners. Now, before we dig into these books, Dr. Sandy, let's, can you share a little bit more about yourself to our audience?
Sure, Frank. I'd be glad to. I don't ever remember thinking I was going to be an author one day. I enjoyed when I was growing up reading books of adventure and people that were into things, a little mischievous maybe, like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer and some of those characters. It's been an enlightening experience for the books that I have written. I have enjoyed them. I have tried to put myself in the place of the characters that I'm writing about to see how they feel, to try to put on paper with ink what this child needs in order to feel good about him or herself. One of the things that I really believe in is that each child, they'll get up in the morning, get dressed, and as they're leaving their house to catch the bus or to get to school, they say, just be me. 3 little words is all they have to say, Frank. It's just be me.
Just be me.
Yes. Give them a way of finding out about the world around them by being themselves. And that's what one of my books is all about. I tend to stand on the human side or the emotional side of most of the characters in my books. I thought of some funny names for some of my characters, but all my topics are very serious. Children need to know more about what's going on in the world. They are understanding what is not going on in the world, and that's communication, unity, and love. And if we would work on some of the things that we should work on and forget some of the things we shouldn't be involved in, then we would be, I think, a little better off. The background that I have, other than that, is that I worked hard to get my doctorate degree at ETSU. I was a mother of two, a wife, working full time, and driving about 3 hours to get to graduate school and back. So it was a long haul, but I did it. And it was just a goal I had in mind. I didn't know if I could finish or not, but it took me a little longer because of having the family to take care of. I never went to bed at night until my children were in bed. I studied after they went to sleep. I tried to give them and my husband the attention that they needed and not spend all my time with the graduate degree. When I was 7 years old, I knew I wanted to be a school teacher one day, and I told the teacher that I wanted to be a teacher, and she said, "Well, what made you decide that?" And I just said, "I don't know, but I think that's what I want to do." And I stayed true to that statement and became a teacher in 1972, got my undergraduate work done at Clinch Valley College at that time, which is now University of Virginia at Wise. And I majored in education, and also second major was physical education and sociology. And I was involved with all kinds of athletics on campus because we didn't have any athletics when I was in high school. So I played all kinds of sports in either both to other colleges or within the school, within the college. We had teams set up, and we would rival, and we would have good friends on both teams as we played flag football and all sorts of things. When I graduated from college, I went to work, did my student teaching at High Point Elementary. High Point Elementary is located in Bristol, Virginia. And I did my internship, and after I finished my internship, I was asked if I would take a position that was open in kindergarten, and I told them I'd be glad to because I love the school. And what goes around, Frank, comes around. My grandson and granddaughter, who are 7 and 5, are enrolled at High Point Elementary. And it's just the luck that where they live, that's the school that they attended. And I told them I used to work there as a kindergarten teacher, and I think they're getting a little older now, so now they realize that. But I hope to have the opportunity to go there during March, during Reading Month or Black History Month in February, and read to their class so that they would have something to remember the school by and what we did together as a family, as well as a teacher. The years after I'd worked there for 8 years, I worked on my master's degree and got it completed in 78. And I worked one more year at High Point, and then I went and applied for a job at Clinch Valley College and got the job as assistant director of admissions. They had hired a director from Lynchburg College. And when I came back a year later I worked during that year and learned the job and everything. And when my husband and I got married, when we came back from our honeymoon, they offered me the job because Eric Wagner was going back to Lynchburg College to work. So I accepted the job, and it worked out real well for Roger and myself both. We were able to locate close by, and we found our home a year later. I was married on my birthday. We moved into our house on my birthday, so it was an easy transition.
Now, you continue, please.
No, go ahead, Frank. Go ahead, please.
Yes. You said you shared earlier when you were younger and you were asked why do you want to become a teacher, you basically don't have an idea. You don't have a concrete answer, right? But if I'm gonna ask you now, what made you decide to become a teacher?
Because yes, sir, I can. It was
do you
because
have an answer
I cared.
for it?
Yes, sir, I do. It was because I care. I care about those children that don't go home to a peaceful rest at night because their parents are arguing and fussing all the time. I care about those children that because they are a different color of skin, they think that they're unwanted and aren't loved. I care about people in general. I've tried to live my life the best that I can, and my favorite thing to do is to help people, to do something for someone, some little something, nothing big. But I've kind of tried to get acquainted with people that I'm around and try to be available if they need anything. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that a teacher can reach further than any other individual, especially if they have a book in their hand and a smile on their face.
Exactly. Right. And I believe this is what actually separates your book from other children's book, because it is not your typical children's book that teaches kids on how to be polite, right? Or how to um, the proper way of eating a meal, right? Or how to
Yeah.
take care of a pet, right? But it
Right.
talks about social issues.
That's an important topic to me, Frank. Very important.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, Sandy, I believe you've published an article for Principles Magazine, right? It talks about adversity versus diversity. Do
Okay,
you
that
mind
article.
sharing?
No, I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind sharing it all. That article was actually in content and perspective, stuff that works. And what happened, Frank, is that we in the graduate office decided to do a book, and the
Mm-hmm.
book had, each one had a chapter, and mine was diversity versus adversity. And we it isn't really long or anything, but what we did was we tried to find things that were important. And what my title was, Adversity versus Diversity, is context and perspective of a prearranged world. We don't think of a prearranged world, but it really is prearranged. In my book, Who Are Those People Back There, we talk about issues that affected children and adults with different color of skin, and having to sit at the back of the bus and those sorts of things. That is uh, diversity and adversity right there, because we have separation. We have a barrier between individuals that could be friends, that could get along. And I'm glad to see many of the African American and Black movies coming out that show what individuals are really capable of doing.
Well,
Uh,
speaking of movies, um, your book, the one that was published back 2019, Who Are Those People Back There? Right, this is one of the books you've published back
it's
2019. This actually reminds me of the movie Hidden Figures.
yes,
Right. Can you tell us more about this book you've published?
yes, Frank, I can.
Mm-hmm.
It was we lived in Gate City, Virginia. We didn't have a car. Dad and Mom rode the bus when we had to go to the grocery store. They were delivered to the house, much like today. It's kind of funny how things go around, but we had a big department store in the town of Gate City called Nichols Department Store. They had a grocery side on one side, then in the middle they had a women's department and a men's department, and then upstairs they had a baby's department and hardware and utensils and things like that you would need to
Mm-hmm.
start up housekeeping. And it took up almost a whole block in Gate City, but that's where we went to get our groceries and things. And on Saturdays when we put in an order, my mom would just call the store and they would deliver the groceries to our home. And this is back in 1956 or so that they would do that. And we would be free. My sister and I would get on our bicycles and we would ride downtown and pick up a loaf of bread or something like that that mom or dad might need. We were in town all the time. We had friends that were Black because their grandmother lived in a portion of town called Colored Town, and it was up from the courthouse. And my grandmother loved living there because she had friends. They were Black friends, so what? They were friends. That was what was important. And she said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to leave here till I die. She loved it so much. And they loved her. They all called her Granny, even though she was their grandmother, and we called her Granny too. But they heard us calling her that, and they'd call her that too. She was very popular. And we would go over there every Sunday afternoon and socialize with Granny. And sometimes she'd have dinner fixed for us. Sometimes we would just sit around and talk and have some watermelon or ice cream or something like that. And these children would come down and we would play with them, and we never noticed any differences. We were children too. We were 8, 9, and 10 years of age. We noticed differences too, but we didn't pay any attention to them. So Granny loved us, and she loved the community in which she lived. And one of the things that we did was that we rode the bus with Granny to Appalachia, which is a place close by where Gate City is. And our relatives lived over there, and it was one of Granny's sisters-in-laws that lived there. And we would go over there, and she had a big department store. She said, and y'all pick you out something before you leave. So we had a good time doing things like that. And Granny she lived to be 92 years old, and she was very special to us. When integration first started, we had good friends that we went to school with, and we had black friends that were going to a black school in Kingsport, Tennessee, called Douglas. And one of my friends, Ruby Rogers, gives a little video excerpt about what they did and how it was taken by them, because they had friends, they had black friends, and then when they segregated and moved them from the white school, they had white friends that they didn't want to leave. So this was very unfair, the way things were done. I think they just wanted to hurry up and get it done and didn't go about it in the right way. I know time is of the essence most of the time, but they should have looked into things a little bit better. And I just pray that things will get better and that we can be reunited as a country, because we need each other to help each other, because of the world around us is watching every move we make. And it's just important for us to be on our toes and ready to go. So after the book about who are those people back there, we went to a curriculum book, and the book was about manners. And manners, you think of good behavior, but manners, I've had several questions. How did you think up these names? Well, I just thought them up. I have a very active imagination. The names of the children are Manners, who tries to help each one of his siblings, which he has 3 siblings. He has Fisticuffs, that wants to join a gang. He has Kick 'em in the Side, that wants to cause problems on the bus. Then he has Kick 'em in the Shin, who wants to throw food all over the cafeteria. So Manners' job in the stories is to show everyone that there are ways of behaving. And sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. In the here again, it's the Manners family.
There we go.
There's Fuller the Hare, and that was her name, and she was the only girl in the family except for Ma. And Ma was kind of a little bit rough herself. But Fuller the Hare thought that she could pull people's hair and have friends. She was kind of misdirected. The other sibling, let's see if I can get him.
This is so you were able to come up with these activity books. It's because of who? It's because of who are those people back there?
Well, it started the fever, I guess, is what you'd say. Is that I enjoyed writing who are those people back there, and I enjoy getting materials to use in the classroom. The reason people, who are those people back there was developed was because we didn't have any materials for Black History Month or for Reading Month, February, March. So this is why we developed this. We have objectives in the set. It's available through Marco. And the reason is that Marco sells guidance materials, and they were a lot better at selling the materials than I was. One at a time, we're going to a school district and trying to sell them to the superintendent for the guidance counselors. So they borrowed the copyright and have the rights to it. So if you order that, it's through Marco.
Oh, so for those who are watching us live, these are activity books published by Dr. Sandra Birchfield. The book titles are The Little Giant Teaches Big Lessons set. So we have The Little Giant Teaches Big Lessons and The Little Giant Called Manners.
Correct. And Frank, there's also a CD and activities and counselor objectives in the book. There's also a chant and a song. So you can involve music, you can involve math, language arts, and science, and all sorts of things with what the activities are in the counselor's manual. And it's for $30. $30 is all it costs. So it's a good buy.
You can also visit ncyi.org if you want to grab a copy of these two activity books.
Thank you,
All
Frank.
right. So going back, Dr. Birchfield, so let's focus on who are those people back there. Do you have a copy of your book?
Yes, I did.
Can you show it to our audience?
We'll try. We tried a few minutes ago. We weren't
Okay.
not really very good at this. But.
That's fine. All right, there you go. Okay.
See, in the back, we have Black African Americans, and then we had the bus driver and the other white people sitting up near the front of the bus.
Now, my question is, how did you come up with the book title?
That just kind of comes. I don't know. You know, I remembered as a child asking my mother who those people were back there because
So it
I,
was you who asked the
yes,
question.
I was the one that asked the question.
Mm.
And I would say, why do they have different skin and different hair? And my mother would say, one day you will understand. Let me read this little page right here. It's just one
Go
page.
ahead, please.
Whenever my family would ride the bus, people in the back never raised a fuss. I asked my mommy, who are those people back there? Why do they have different skin and different hair? She told me that the world is not a perfect place, and not all people are of the same race. My mommy then patted and held my hand and said, one day you will understand.
Now, what do you think are the best lessons that parents and kids would get to learn out from this book?
That we're all the same and that we need to be together more, make more friends, try to introduce ourselves to other people, whether we're shy and quiet, a little backward. You know, that's nobody had that problem. He was a little shy and quiet. The book that's going to be coming out soon. But nobody became somebody because he overcame his weaknesses. He knew that he wasn't very good at sports, and he really didn't like sports, but he would try them because he never ran away from anything. He always tried to do his best. And it says in the story about nobody that he tried playing ball. The coach had asked him to play ball, said he'd gone outside and said, coach said, hey, nobody, come over here and play ball with us. And nobody wanted nothing to do with that at all because he didn't like to play ball. But
This
he
is an
went
upcoming
ahead.
book,
This is an
right?
upcoming book. This is Nobody is Somebody.
Yes.
And he goes out to with the other kids and he plays and he said, well, he didn't do the best of the best, but he tried his best and he did well. It wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to be. So that kind of, he liked to use puzzles and games, something that would tease his brain is what he liked to do. So they have a special occasion at the school, and the coach talks nobody into entering the occasion, the opening, the competition. There's a competition at school, and so nobody's going to enter it, and you'll have to find out what happens by reading the book.
Exactly. All right. So now let's move on to the next book. So you have another book published the same year, 2019. The title is Goodness Gracious, Grumbling is Contagious.
Yes, that came to me.
It sounds like, a tongue twister. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, goodness gracious, grumbling is contagious. I told a group a time or two before that it's for adults. You get it for your spouse and put it in their Christmas stocking so they have the book on how to get rid of the grumbling bug. So if you have someone that's kind of grumpy, it would be a perfect Christmas gift. But it came to me, our pastor was having a sermon on Thanksgiving Sunday, the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And it was 2 years ago. And he just started talking about people complaining and how they complained if they were having ham, that why didn't we have a turkey? If they had apple pie, they were wondering where's coconut cream pie? You know, they were always griping about something. So we decided to do this little book. And when I got home from the church services, I sat down with a paper and pencil and just started kind of doodling and thinking to myself. And it just came to me, goodness gracious, grumbling is contagious. And it's about opossums. So I thought animals would be cute for this little story because it's a cute little story and kids love it because of the rhyme. Opossums were living in a tree. They were very happy living in a tree. Everything was going perfect. And then one day they started aggravating each other. They started pulling each other's suspenders, making them pop, kicking their foot out from under them so they'd flop. All sorts of things were going on. And the father opossum said, what is wrong with you? You all are acting terrible. You're complaining all the time. You're all grumpy and grouchy. What's wrong? So he says, there's something going on at our home, in our tree. We need to go and see. So they go to the tree and look, and another family of opossums had moved in and left the germs all over the tree inside the grumbling bug. So the first opossum family had taken the grumbling bug from this other family, and they needed to get rid of it. So you'll find out how they do get rid of it by reading the book. I'll give you a little teaser there.
Exactly. All right. So for those who are watching us live, you can grab a copy of Dr. Sandra Birchfield's books. Goodness gracious, grumbling is contagious, and the other one, who are those people back there, available on Amazon.com. All right. And also for the other two activity books, storybooks and CDs, they're available in ncyi.org. Book titles are The Little Giant Teaches Big Lessons and The Little Giant Called Manners. All right.
Frank,
Mm-hmm.
could you repeat that web address for the Little Giant and
Oh,
Manners because you faded out?
it's ncyi.org.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay, cool. So now, Dr. Birchfield, I believe you've already shared one, what do you call this, upcoming material, The Nobody is Somebody, right? And we also have another one because you actually have two titles on the works, right? The other
Correct.
title, it's Get Well Quick, Hospital for the Sick.
Okay, this is a real special book because with the pandemic going on and everything, so many children were seeing grandparents and parents going to nursing homes and into hospitals, and you know the story. We've all been there for the past couple of years. But I had a friend, a real good friend, who was real worried about her friend who had a granddaughter that wasn't eating, that was sleeping, was real trouble because her grandmother was going to have to go into the hospital and have some work done, have some surgery. And the little girl didn't know about a hospital. She didn't know what a hospital was. She didn't know how it was going to work out with her grandmother. So she was very worried about her. So my friend asked me, aren't there any books about hospitals so that children would be more comfortable about going into the hospital? I said, well, there was one out a long time ago. I remember reading it, but I haven't seen anything lately. And so she asked me if I would write a book. And so I told her I would try my best to do what I could do. And I started working on it. It took me about a year, I guess, to finish it because I wanted it to be for a child and put myself in that child's position. I remember when I was 7 years old, I had to go get my tonsils out because my adenoids had grown around my tonsils and it was blocking off all my hearing. My second grade teacher, the one I told I wanted to be a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
called my parents and talked to them and said, you know, you need to get her to a doctor. And the doctor sent me to the hospital to have my tonsils and adenoids removed. And the morning that we arrived at the hospital, we had to ride the bus from Gate City because remember, we didn't have a car. And as I got off the bus driver gave me a quarter. And I thought I was the richest person in the world. So I remember that experience because of the quarter and everything else going on. But when I was writing the Get Well Quick Hospital for the Sick, I wanted to think of the little girl. I wanted to think of myself as the little girl at the hospital. And so we tried to fix things that were easy for a child to understand. It's I'll read a little excerpt from it too here, if I may. Okay, just a second. I've had
Mm-hmm.
a few little sessions. It's kind of got things out of kilter here. Well, I don't have the notebook right here, I don't think. Let me check here. One more place. Oh, here it is.
While you're checking on that one, we have a comment coming from Fairgoer2234. Says, wow, you guys make a great team.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. This is so timely. How does this relate to COVID?
Well, because there's another rise in the COVID cases, and a lot of those cases are going to be small children. Thank goodness we do have the COVID available now for children
Yep.
5 through 8, I think, is that age now. But I've tried to follow it to see what's happening. But when the
Mm-hmm.
little girl visits the hospital, she said there was a girl, and this is kind of hard because it's hard to rhyme something with hospital. But there was a girl who was little who did not know about a hospital. When they took Graham's to stay, it worried her because Graham's was going away. It was a place she would get special care, and they would look out for her welfare. Let Graham stay at home here with me. I can take care of her, you will see. The hospital has medicine, doctors, nurses, and tests. Families realize that it is for the best. The girl who was little saw the ambulance come and go. She felt a lot better, even though she missed Graham's a whole lot and wanted to see where the hospital was so she could be smarter about the things they could do to help the people get better and improve.
I believe you have the cover, right?
Yes, I do. I'm going to show that too here in a second. I've got juggling things here a little bit. I'll get it in just a minute. Her family said, "Do you want to go to the hospital to see Graham's?" That's the girl who was little. They loaded up the car. They did not have to drive very far. When they arrived, the girl who was little saw so many good things at the hospital. There were doctors, nurses, medicine, chairs, beds, and food. Best of all, Grams was sitting up and looking good. Grams hugged the girl who was little and said, "You know, I did not want to come to the hospital. I'm glad that I did. I feel well. And I was worried about you, but I can tell that now you have learned and seen for yourself, a hospital can help us with our health. They have what we at home can't provide, and it's all right here, all inside." There's one more little paragraph here.
Mm-hmm.
I can get everything juggled here.
You can read it to us.
Remember, if a loved one gets sick, do not fret and worry, just be quick. Be like the girl who was little. Just get them to the hospital. And here's the cover. Reader's Magnet's going to do the illustrations for that. My daughter usually does the illustrations, but she's been really busy because as a guidance counselor with COVID, she's had to work a lot. So there's the hospital building. See if I can get the ambulance in there.
Who draw that? Your daughter?
I did. No, I
You
did.
did. Okay. And we'll be using that. Reader's Magnet will use as a reference for the cover, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Birchfield, you were inspired to come up with this title because of what we are currently facing, right? The pandemic crisis.
Yes, sir. I was just concentrating on the little girl, but I knew what she was facing because of the, television. Every minute, another person was dying. Every other minute, a child was going into the hospital. So it wasn't hard to come up with that title or with the theme for the story.
Mm-hmm. Good thing that nowadays we actually have vaccines for kids. Right? Oh,
yes,
we have, okay. Hello, Dr. Sandy, coming from Mario.
Hey, Mario.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we'll be reading some of the questions probably later. Yeah. And some of the comments. Now let's move on. Dr. Sandy, I believe, so that's Get Well Quick, Hospital for the Sick. Now let's talk about the other upcoming book that you have, Nobody is Somebody. Can you tell us more about this?
Okay, that's correct. That's the book that have nobody, a small n, because he thinks he's nobody. And then somebody is a capital S because somebody thinks they are somebody. And nobody in this story finds out that he has a lot to offer to people, that he can do things that he didn't think he could do simply because he's always kind of been quiet and in the corner watching people and trying to understand their behaviors so that he could become a part of a group, so he could be recognized. And the coach kind of took him under his wing and tried to get him interested in ball and going outside and playing with the other kids. And nobody did okay with that. He tried to do what the coach wanted him to do because he liked the coach. He liked the guidance counselor. He liked everyone at the school. But he just wasn't a real outgoing individual. And then they found out that they were going to have a special competition at the school. And the coach wanted him to participate in this competition. So he signed up for it. And in order to find out what happened, you're going to have to buy the book and read the story, I guess.
Yes, of course. So you've fair into our viewers. You might want to go ahead and look out for this ongoing books to be published, right, by Dr. Birchfield. So we also are coming up with a website for her that's on the works, right, Dr. Birchfield?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Now, we have several questions. Let me go ahead and read some. So we have a question from Fairgoer2233. Okay. For Fairgoer2233, Dr. Birchfield actually already published two books that are already part of a curriculum. She's asking if this is something we can add to the U.S. school curriculum. Probably she's referring to the
Manners.
ongoing projects. Do you think it can be, Dr. Birchfield?
Well, it's a possibility if it gets to the right people that know
Mm-hmm.
what to do. We have the objectives. We use the Virginia objectives for guidance and counseling for primary school, but they are very similar to other objectives in other states. You know, there's just so much you can do with the objectives, and they are pretty aligned with each other. So if you were from California or Virginia or Tennessee, you should be just fine with that. And the first thing I would do would be to talk to someone in the area of curriculum and development at your school system.
All right, there you go.
A good start.
Okay. Now, Dr. Birchfield, do you have a reference for nobody is somebody, or this is just out of your imagination?
Well, when I was an elementary guidance counselor, I would have small groups. Every week, I have 2 or 3 small groups set up, and they were on Shy and Quiet from a family of divorced individuals, Shy and adopted. We had a couple that were adopted. I had, when I first started my counseling, I had one 3rd grader that was living with a family, and they just came out and told him that he had been adopted, and tore him all to pieces. He came to school next morning. He said, "No one ever told me." You know, he was about 8 years old, 8 or 9, so he should have been told probably a little earlier, maybe would have helped him understand it better. But there were things like that going on in the school that made me think, well, you know, we need to have a group for Shy and Quiet. You know, being shy is a lot better being called that you're shy than you're awkward or you're a nobody or you're a baby. You know, a lot of those are terms that lead to bullying, and which makes the individual that's having the problem maybe start acting out him or herself. So it's important for us to notice these things.
A question from Fairgoer2567. What can you say to those people who prefer not to go to the hospital? Or probably doesn't want to get admitted?
Well, it's up to them. It's just like we're having this big controversy right now with the COVID shots, you know, the booster and all those sorts of things. And, you know, we do have a choice. But is your choice going to hurt anyone else? Are you going to be contagious yourself? Goodness gracious. Not getting vaccinated is contagious.
There you go.
But, you know, I'm an individual and you're an individual, and I can't jump on everybody's soapbox about what they want to do or whatever. It's something that you just have to think about and do some research and actually just pray about it and see what you think you should do. You know, we have members of our family that have decided whether they're going to do it or not. And we have every year someone that decides the same kind of thing, if they're going to have the flu shot or not. I told my husband the other day, I said, I hope if they don't get vaccinated for COVID, that they at least get vaccinated for the flu shot, because that will help protect them from so many side effects from the COVID if they happen to take it. And Frank, I don't have the answers. I wish I did, but if I did, I'd be God, and I'm not God, thank goodness. So, you know, each person is their own individual, and we live in America, and they should have some right as to their individuality. But we don't have to blow up cars to prove our point.
Exactly. Dr. Birchfield, for someone who's, you know, who loves kids the most, I think the question coming from Fairgoer2590 would be a perfect fit. How can you handle a person who knows he is adopted and rebels?
Well, it's a slow process, I'm sure. You know, what you have to do is I think one of the first steps I would do is maybe have a small group, and for other children that knew they were adopted, is maybe have them in the group and see if the adopted child would be a part of that group. Get his opinion, get his parents' opinion, his adopted parents' opinion, and see where he stands on it, because he might not fully understand. Now, sometimes we take things for granted. We think everybody understands everything. Well, that's not the case. We just have to go slowly, pay attention to their emotional feelings, and hopefully just talk with them in a gentle way after you've read a story, read a book or something maybe. Because there are a lot out there about adoption, and talk about little puppies and being adopted. You might want to adopt a pup before you adopt a kid, so that way they could kind of assimilate that relationship. And I know you think, are you crazy putting animals and people together? Well, animals are good for people. They relax them, they make them feel better. In St. Jude's, they use dogs and all kinds of things. And we have to look out for the kids, for the children.
All right. We have another question. I believe this is actually almost the same question I have for you, because you've published a lot of books already, right? You have Who Are Those People Back There? You have Goodness Gracious, Grumbling is Contagious, and then you have the two activity books, right?
Right.
My question is, what made you write this book and decide to publish them? This is also the exact same question for Fairgoer 6927.
Well, I had a friend that was a guidance counselor also, and we had retired and just wanted to do something to stay busy, I guess. And we looked into doing the manners curriculum, and it was a lot of work, a lot of research to find that all that, you say you can just do this and do that. Well, it isn't that easy sometimes. And we could go out and talk to superintendents or assistant superintendents and tell them what the book contains. And the guidance counselors were opting in from the central office, were opting in on the conversation. And most of them that I visited bought enough copies for their guidance personnel. And some of them bought enough copies for all their teachers. And my hope, Frank, is that people may look at the book, think it's a good book, and go and visit maybe a hospital and talk to the administrators there and see if they would buy some of the books to put in children's goodie bags, or let them have one to read and to keep themselves, just to kind of help them, remind them that the hospital is not a bad place. It's a good place.
Yes, it is not a bad place. Right. Will I ever get to read books coming from you that aren't children's material? Will that be a possibility in the near future?
Frank, I do not know. I have no clue right now. But
okay, I was just wondering.
No. Like I said, if I did have a chance to do something, it would be with the manners curriculum, because I think there's a possibility there of doing some other stories with the children, the way they act out, the things they do. But, I have to look in and see what it would take to get the copyright back before I could do anything like that.
All right. So, okay, let me just check some other questions here. All right. Among all these books you have published, Dr. Birchfield, do you have any favorites?
Who are those people back there? And why are they different? And why can't we be fair?
There you go. Great. And is this the only book that's actually based on your real life story? Right.
Well, the girl in manners is someone I knew when I was assistant principal at the middle school. The contrast and perspective of stuff that works that was developed at LMU is also based on pretty good background of information. It's a short chapter that I did on diversity and adversity, but yeah, I thought it kind of hit the nail on the head, so to speak.
All right. So for those who are watching us live, you can grab a copy of Dr. Sandra Birchfield's books. These are Who Are Those People Back There? and the other one is Goodness Gracious, Grumbling is Contagious. These two books are available in Amazon.com. And you can also purchase copies of the activity books, and they're also available in CD format. These book titles are The Little Giant Teaches Big Lessons Set, The Little Giant Called Manners, available in ncyi.org. And also, please do keep on track of Dr. Sandra Birchfield's upcoming titles. We have Nobody is Somebody, currently on the layout process, right? And we have Get Well Quick, Hospital for the Sick. And we are also
Thank
on the
you.
works in creating a website for Dr. Birchfield. So if you want to learn more about Dr. Birchfield and her published books, we'll be announcing that soon. Okay. Dr. Birchfield, do you have any scheduled sessions, probably later today or tomorrow?
Frank, I hope I don't have anything else today or tomorrow. I've done about 10 author of the hours, and I've done
Oh,
a couple of moderators. So
mhm.
I'm getting a little tired, but I'm sure I'll be ready to go again tomorrow if I need to be. We
During
had
those,
a accident in the town of which one of the moderators was supposed to, well, the author I was supposed to moderate was supposed to be here at this time, and they had something wrong with their gas in the town that she lived, and the gas lines and everything. So they had a big emergency. People couldn't leave and those sorts of things. So she got tied up with that. So I thought that I didn't have anything else, and then they asked me if I would do this session for an hour. So this
well,
is the second session I've done today.
I hope she's doing fine now. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was just a problem of getting in and out, not wanting to leave, not knowing what's going on. So we just hope that everything goes all right for her.
Dr. Birchfield, the past days where you were doing your live sessions, what were the topics that you've covered?
Well, we've covered integration, segregation, adoption. We've done getting along with others through manners, like be a bus patrol person and not be someone that takes the whole bus to sit down and lay out. Don't throw food in the cafeteria. Try to get along with others so that you have someone to sit with in the cafeteria and to talk with. And even though you don't mean to have a lot of social skills involved with your books, in order for little kids from 5 to 12 to get along with each other and to learn how to get along, they need these social skills taught at an early age. And there's a lot of things that parents can do. And I think one of the biggest things is sometimes we get the cart before the horse. We try to teach a child something without going through the parent. If we have these parent workshops sometimes, it would be good to let the kids come too and get involved with that so that they know what the parents are coming for and how they're learning new ways of behavior to teach their children.
Do you have an easy, quick tips for parents and kids out there when it comes to social skills?
I would say get them involved in things as much as you can. You don't want to have a schedule that's so busy, like dance at 5, gymnastics at 6,
Mm-hmm.
t-ball at 7. You don't want anything like that, but you need to get your children involved so that they can socialize with other kids on the teams, in the field. Competition is good because they have to come to an agreement about things. I think movement is very important for children because the more they move, the less lethargic they are, the less tired they are. Don't let a child sit in a seat all day. Get them up, let them get a cold drink of water, walk around the room, do salutes to the teacher, do any kind of movement, stick their arms out, fly like a plane or a bird. Just keep them moving because that is the key. Keep moving.
There you go. Keep moving. Be active. If I'm not mistaken, you two are very active in sports.
I played
Mm-hmm.
a lot of sports. I wanted to play basketball in college, but I didn't have the opportunity in high school because our county didn't have women's basketball, but a neighboring county did. So they went ahead and had a team anyway. So when I was in college, I played women's basketball, tennis. Tennis was one of my better games. I did fairly well at that. um, softball, volleyball, and I guess that covers the gamut about everything that we had as women. But the flag
Dr.
football was really fun.
Dr. Birchfield, you shared earlier that you're a mom of two, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Um, how did your kids, what was your response when you've published these books?
They were very excited. The grandchildren were too. I told them about the book and how it came to be, and I explained why it was written, and they would ask questions. They'd say, talk about the skin and the hair and the things in the picture, and now we went over it all. And now they're in school. All of them are in school. All four of them are in school. Two are in kindergarten, one in first, one in second. So now that they're in school, it's becoming even more open to them. They're noticing more about their books and things. Because when I read them, Nobody the other night, my husband and I had to stay because their daughter-in-law's grandmother had passed away. So we kept the children for a couple of days and a couple of nights. And before they went to bed, our next the eldest, Benjamin, said, "Can you all switch?" I said, "What do you mean switch?" He said, "You go into Sophie's room and read to her, then you come into my room, and Paul goes to my room to Sophie's room." I said, "Well, yes, we can do that, Benjamin." So we read the book, Who Are Those People Back There? And he was amazed at the things that were in the book. He's growing up a little bit more now, and he understands it better and sees it more. And then the Nobody book is Somebody. He, that same day, I read him a little excerpt from that, and he, that same day, had been in the same competition that Nobody had been in. I told him, I said, "This is a book that I wrote, and the little boy," I told him what the competition was, "is just like you." And our grandson had not won the spelling bee. He missed it by one word. He said, "Yeah, but he got them all right, but I didn't." I said, "Well, you're both winners." And his big smile broke across his face. So he was fine with that.
Do you read some of these stories to your grandkids too?
Yes, I do.
All of them.
Yes, except the college paper I did in college, I don't about diversity. But I talk about diversity and who are those people back there. So I think that they pretty much know about the differences, and they're all four good children. I mean, they're well behaved, and when we had to keep them for Jill and Ernest to go to Alabama, we didn't have any problems at all. They were just perfect.
Hope they're watching us live now.
I hope so too.
Okay, for someone who's very, who has so much love for kids, so when your grandkids, would visit you in your place, what's the best bonding time that you have with them? What do you usually do?
Oh, a little bit of everything. We have a pretty big place, about 2 acres of land that we keep mowed in the front of the yard. And then we have a big mountain behind us. And my husband, since the grandchildren have been born, we have 2 dogs. Well, we have one now because one of them was poisoned and passed away last week. But we have a big dog, and we have a chicken house. My husband has 6 chickens, and so we have our fresh eggs, and we have squirrels and deer and all those sorts of things around here. And our grandchildren have built, well, with Roger's help or with Roger helping them, whichever the case may be, built a playhouse. And they go up there. They got to paint the walls on the inside purple and pink and all that.
And they helped you with the painting.
Yes, of course. We have pictures of them, paint all over them.
Nice.
And then they go to the first thing. Our oldest grandson comes in. When he comes in running, saying, "Paul." They call us Paul and Ma, and it isn't Paul and Ma Kettle. Thank goodness.
Okay.
It's just Paul and Ma. So he says, "Where's Paul? I want to go down to the creek and get some salamanders." And we got a boat last Christmas for each other. That's something we wanted to do because the children love to fish. They want to fish all the time. So we took them out on the boat a couple of times last summer, and they went fishing and just had a real good time playing games and water sports and stuff. So they're pretty active.
All right. You really have a very wonderful experience and wonderful bonding with your grandkids. And for sure, they're very happy and very proud to have someone like you, right? They must be bringing the books that you've published with them every time they go to school.
Yeah, I hope they enjoy them. As they get older, they'll understand better, Frank, a little bit later. But they've got the gist of the story.
And this is a legacy that you've left them.
Well, I wanted to do something that was special, and it just like I said, it's a gift, and I thank the Lord that I was given this gift. I rhyme all the time, just about. Well, I mean, they're a rhyme time, and the children pay attention to it, and they laugh and giggle when I do it. Like I'll make up a little rhyme about them, and they just laugh. It's so good to see them so happy. When we go to visit or when they come here, they run toward us like they're going to tackle a New Orleans football player or something.
Little monsters attacking you. All
Yes.
right. Anyway, so Dr. Sandra Birchfield, anyone whom you would like to thank
Well, I like
with your experience in participating in the Festival of Storytellers?
well, I'd like to thank Reader's Magnet. And I know it's been a lot of hard work, and this is just the second time that they've done the festival, and they've worked really hard and found out some things that they needed to do to improve, and some of the things they need to do to change a few little things, little quirks here and there. Whenever you start any kind of program, it takes a couple, 3, 4, or 5 years to get everything in order and everything aligned so that things go as smoothly as can go. And you can't give up, and you can't be grouchy or grumpy or goodness gracious, don't complain. You
There you
need to
go.
you need to look at things, how you did them, and then relook and see how they could be changed for the better. And I think
Right.
that's the goal that Reader's Magnet has in stores, that they want to do the best they can do for every author. And already they've achieved a lot because at least they have us off the street corner trying to sell books. We've got this worldwide nation of people watching and keep cluing in and viewing everything. And it's my hope that you enjoy the books that you buy and read, and that your children will also enjoy them very much.
Exactly. Thank you so much for those words, Dr. Birchfield. Now, for everyone, for those who are watching us live, you can grab a copy of Dr. Sandra Birchfield's books. Who are those people back there? And Goodness Gracious, Grumbling is Contagious, available on Amazon.com. You can also purchase the activity books she published, available in CD format as well. The Little Giant Teaches Big Lessons set and The Little Giant Called Manners, available in ncyi.org. Please be on the lookout for her upcoming books. We have Nobody is Somebody and Get Well Quick, Hospital for the Sick. Reader's Magnet is currently working on these two books, and we are working on her website too. So if you want to learn more about Dr. Sandra Birchfield, please get to check on her website. Get to check her website. Okay, Dr. Birchfield, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having you on set, and I'm having fun talking to you.
Thank you, Frank. The same. Likewise
Mm,
here. And I've
all
enjoyed all the
right.
questions. It's so much better when people ask questions because we can fill in the things that they're concerned about and want to learn about. And I appreciate everybody's input today. And I appreciate Reader's Magnet for putting all this together.
Thank you so much. Thank you. With the Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world. Have a great day, everyone.